It is really sad when this happens, but everybody goes through it.
And I think the older you get, the more normal it is. Because there's a lot of people that just sort of lost touch with them. Welcome to Bad Life, Good Advice. I'm Anya.
And I'm Jen.
We take listener questions and internet dilemmas.
And apply common sense to situations that don't need to be this difficult.
And today we are talking about relationships and what happens when you have too many boyfriends and
When friendships sort of fade away.
and we are talking about a brand new dating term that we didn't understand because we're millennials. I think Jen has the dilemmas this week because Anya was lazy, and also when Jen texted her dilemmas, they were way better than the ones Anya looked up.
Jen wants to know why Anya is referring to Anya in third person.
I don't know. I don't know.
So for my first dilemma, we have a man who has a teenage daughter. And he has been teasing her a little bit because she has been dating a lot of different boys through the course of her high school career. According to him, she sort of has this overly romantic idea of love and wants a Disney princess relationship because he and his wife actually have a very great relationship. And he feels like they do have that sort of storybook relationship. But he's trying to explain to her that at 17, that's not realistic. So he keeps teasing her about having a different boyfriend all the time and how he's not even bother learning their names anymore because it's just a different flavor every week, and how none of these boys seem too bright. And he just seems to be having a lot of fun with this. He mentioned this to one of his female coworkers, and she said that it was extremely disrespectful and he should not talk about her daughter's boyfriends that way. His coworker, it sounded like he was calling his daughter a slewberry. Do I need to explain what slewberry means, or do we all get it?
Well, I mean, you can. I don't know Gen Z words, so.
A lady who's loose with men.
Oh, okay. Of course, the dad is probably going to think his daughter is a perfect little angel and no boy is good enough for her. Also, for the most part, high school boys are stupid. Sorry, but you are. That being said, the only piece of advice that I have, don't get me wrong, I get in high school, especially if you go to a co-ed high school, there are lots of boys. You're going to have crushes. But there is also nothing wrong with teaching your children, hey, it's okay to be single for a while until you actually really maybe like someone. I'm not saying that you should be single for the rest of eternity, but I've always been in the mindset like if you break up with someone, you don't necessarily need to date the next person that comes along. It's okay to be single for a while. What do you think?
I think that dads and daughters have a special relationship. And if she isn't offended by what he's saying and she understands where his heart is, then I don't think she's going to take it to mean that he's calling her promiscuous. She'll understand that he's just being an annoying dad and he's annoyed with the
Mhm.
boyfriends. And, you know, dads are stereotypically supposed to tease your boyfriends, especially when you're still in high school. And I think that dads, they enjoy it. Let me put it like this. When I was a senior in college, and my boyfriend, who I had been dating since high school, asked my father if he could propose to me. My father said, and I quote, hell no.
I didn't know that.
Now, he knew that my brother was in the other room and he was very excited because my brother and my husband get along very well. And I believe he may have winked at my husband before he screamed it. But I know that deep down, he really wanted to say it and he just had to get it out of his system because, I'm not a little girl anymore. Now I'm moving out of the house. Things are different. And it's not that he doesn't like him and he gave him his blessing. I think that dads need to get it out somehow, is all I'm saying. Because, like, your little girl is growing up.
Also, just as a disclaimer, audience, if you think Jen is sarcastic, her father is the king of sarcasm. So just put that out there. So I feel he got great joy out of saying hell no. And I can totally picture this in my mind. And it's funny because I know both of them and it's hilarious.
And see, that's when the context matters, though, right? Most people, if you ask, the woman's father for permission to propose, and he says hell no, like It's like a whole big drama, but we're laughing about it because we know everybody and we know where their heart is.
Hmm.
And so I don't think that this dad is necessarily doing anything wrong. I agree with you though. The girl doesn't need to constantly have a boyfriend. And I never understood casual dating. So I can't really talk about it a whole lot. I mean, I remember in like sixth grade, people were like, we were like 11, right? And people were like, ooh, I have a boyfriend. Do you want a boyfriend? I think so and so likes you. And I'm like, well, let's be realistic about this, guys. Let's say this boy wants to be my boyfriend. What are we going to do? We're going to hold hands at recess. And then what, like, my mom's going to drop me off at his parents' house and we're going to sit on the couch in front of his parents and watch TV together. Like, what is the point? That sounds stupid. I was like at 11, I was 11 years old and I was like telling the other girls, like, no, listen, there's no point in dating somebody unless they can buy you stuff and drive you places. I was also not very popular, but it all worked out.
Actually, I believe in the fifth grade, I had my first boyfriend for like 3 days. Again, we didn't even hold hands. He was just like, "Do you want to be my girlfriend?" And I was like, "Okay." And then 3 days later, he was like, "I like this other girl, so we're breaking up." And I'm like, "Okay."
Okay. You weren't even mad about it.
Well, I was like 10. I
Yeah.
didn't even know if I liked him. I think it was like a note that was like, "Will you be my girlfriend?" Yes, no.
Check yes, check no. Oh, that's great.
And then I remember for 3 days, he put my chair on my desk because we were supposed to do that as a class. This is also in the age of landlines, people. So even if you had a boyfriend, they had to call you on your landline.
15 to 17. That's such a weird age because I was 17 and I started dating my now husband. So when people say, oh, they're just 17, it doesn't mean anything, I'm always like, hold up. I have 20 years of telling you why that's wrong. A house and a child. Okay. 17 can be very important.
I mean, I was really shy in high school and I didn't really even have any boyfriends till like college.
Well, I think the only reason I have a boyfriend was because my husband was so outgoing.
Maybe we're
Um,
not the best advice because we neither of us have had flavors in high school.
at this point, she's 17, she's going to do what she's going to do. But
Mhm.
you could still try to, guide her as a
Mhm.
parent. It's fun to tease her, and that's fine. Go ahead if that's what you want to do and that's your relationship. But if you are somewhere deep down concerned that she's just dating idiots, and your words, not mine, if she's dating idiots just for the sake of having a boyfriend and trying to find a boyfriend, that's not great. But if she's just enjoying dating, I mean, isn't that's that could be fine if that's what she wants, and if she's not being unhealthy about it, if she's not being clingy or anything.
I mean, I totally get the sarcasm and the jokes, but at the same time, maybe you should have more of a sit down conversation with your daughter and just try to be like, maybe just be alone for a little bit or just try to be more serious if you date someone. But just make sure that those dates are more lighthearted and, safe dates.
But also, he's not like saying something that isn't true. If she has a lot of boyfriends, she has a lot of boyfriends. And so if other people are looking at that and going, well, if you say that, it sounds like she might be a slewberry, maybe you warn her that you're going to get a reputation and you're going to have to deal with that. And you can tell people, yeah, you're wrong, F you, that's fine. But people are going to look at like the fact that you had 20 boyfriends. And it's like, well, like you said, were they boyfriends or were they just like dudes she went on a date with? Because being head over heels in love, having a boyfriend is different than just like, I don't know, he's cute, so we got coffee.
And two, I think high school in general is like a mixture of like friends and boyfriends. So, I mean, towards the end of my high school career, I became friends with more boys,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't dating them. I was just playing poker with them or getting coffee with them or hanging out. It wasn't even all that serious, you know?
They just kind of end up in your group, and it's like, well, are they like in the group and you kind of like each other, so you kind of sort of pair off for a week or two, and then it's over and you're friends again? And I think that the
But
dad's probably being a little too harsh for these boys, calling them idiots because, like you said, yes, teenage boys tend to be not very articulate. But in my opinion, the ones that are articulate tend to be kind of manipulative. Think about the boys we went to high school that we knew in high school that were very articulate.
did we know any articulate boys in high school?
I can think of a couple, but I don't want to say them.
Okay.
All I'm saying is they all seem kind of smarmy and sketchy to me. They're the kind of guys that like your mom will love them, but like they know how to like woo a lady, but then like They're going to dump you as soon as like they're done with you.
We conclude that this guy really isn't the jerk,
No.
and we're entertained by him.
Yes. Yep. And as long as he's actually there for his daughter, everything here seems to be just fine. And I think that wraps up that segment. All right, Anya, now we're on to you for the story.
This story kind of ties in with our first idea of just dating, but it's kind of the opposite, actually. This is a Cosmo article, and it's also been popping up on TikTok, so I know it's kind of universal, but a little bit opposite of the first scenario where the girl has flavors. This is a new word, lingo, Chalance. And apparently, women, and I guess men too, on dating apps and dating profiles, it's the term an antonym for nonchalance, a bit of playful shorthand for daters who want to make it very, very clear that they want serious commitment and genuine efforts. So basically, these people are writing the word on their profile to indicate that they don't want anything short term. They don't want a situationship. They want a serious partnership. And it's called Chalance. Chalance, Chalance. Personally, I think it's great that people are being more forward on these apps. However, my problem with this is, as a millennial, I didn't know what it meant. I mean, I'm not on any dating apps currently, but if I were on dating apps and I saw this, I would be clueless. Why can't people just write, I want a serious relationship? Why does it have to be all these newfangled words? I'll probably Urban Dictionary it.
Does Gen Z know what the Urban Dictionary is?
Probably not.
I think I've hit this theme before where the important thing in a relationship is to lay out your values and lay out your boundaries and find people that are compatible, right? So I love this in theory. I agree with you. Whatever happened to just, going steady?
So 40, technically it's the same thing, right?
Yeah, I remember going steady. I was watching a Brady Bunch episode and Marsha was like going on dates with different guys every week. Anyway, but I thought it was funny because I guess I don't know if that was normal, if that was just TV, but she went from just like dating every week to going steady with somebody. Same thing here. I guess my only problem is I think most people you talk to who are meeting their forever person, their spouse or whomever, they probably weren't expecting to end up with a person like that. Were you, Anya? Like when you were a little girl and you thought about like your perfect husband, did was
Oh,
is your fiance like what you would have written down?
no.
Right. It's just different. I definitely had a more serious person in my mind. And then I met my husband and he's super goofy. And turns out that works better for me. But I didn't know that. So I guess what I'm saying is you don't necessarily know what you need. So it's good that you're forward, but it's also hard to judge yourself in what you need with just an app. And so you do still have to just meet people.
Although I guess I kind of like it because if you have that in your profile, then you find somebody else with it in their profile. Maybe do go on a date with that person because that both of you are kind of looking for something a little more serious. And yeah, maybe it might not work out after a date or two. At least you know the person's just not trying to have a good time.
It's probably a pretty good screener, assuming that the other person is being honest.
Mhm.
But I guess that's a risk you take anyway.
Online dating exists, and it's how a lot of people meet. It's nice that people, I think, are being more direct and more straightforward of what they actually want.
It's also nice that this is a Gen Z thing. I feel like millennials have been afraid of commitment, not just with relationships, but with anything. We don't stay in jobs very long. We don't stay in places that we live very long. Yeah, and I'm not saying it's a bad commitment. It's nice to see that they're at least looking for serious relationships younger.
I get that. I feel like it's good that they haven't lost hope for everything.
Right? That's what I'm saying. That's what I
I
mean.
get what you're saying. I'm mostly for it. And I mean, other than my earlier rant of, I don't know what these words mean because I'm old, but 99% for it. 1%, if you said go steady, I would know what that would be. Okay.
So to wrap up the segment, I think that this is a great idea. I think it's a good screener. But of course, it's not the be all end all. You still have to meet people. But I'm glad that they're not losing hope and they're actually looking for relationships.
I agree. Now to our last story. So it is back to Jen. What do you have for me?
So I have a story about a woman who is in her mid 30s, and she's wondering if it's time to quietly exit some friendships. So she has been friends with these two women for about 10 years. And at first, they were all best friends, pretty good trio. But lately, she's felt like she is the third wheel. Some of the examples she shared were that they seem to hang out without her a little bit, or if they do hang out with her, they tell her about all the stuff that they were going to do or they have done already. And then the one was having a baby, and she never got a formal invitation to the baby shower, but they mentioned it a couple times in passing. And then they invited her informally, but she never got a true invitation. The pregnant friend made sort of a big show about how she didn't want anybody at the hospital except for her husband, and it was just going to be the two of them, and they didn't want any visitors. And then she found out that the other friend did, in fact, visit her in the hospital. She just sort of wants to step away from this friendship and she doesn't want any drama. She doesn't know what happened. And she wants to know if there's anything that she could do to make the situation go as smoothly as possible. What do you think?
First of all, I think that's a great story because I think when people think of breakups, they just think of relationships, but it happens in friendships too. But sometimes friendships, unfortunately, are just not meant to last, and other friendships last in multiple lifetimes. But I mean, in this case scenario, it seems like she has totally valid reasons for wanting to not be best friend status with them anymore and slowly walk away. It seems like to me, based on how she wrote it, she is definitely okay with not really being friends with these women anymore. If she seems like she was more upset by it or she was still really caring about it, then maybe if they were such good friends, that could warrant like an honest conversation of like, I've noticed these things keep happening to me and I keep being singled out. Why? But since it seems like she doesn't necessarily need that, maybe it is best for her to just kind of let it gradually dissolve. What do you think?
I think that you made some really good points. If you don't need the closure, then there's no reason to try to force that conversation. And I understand that if you feel the need to exit the relationships entirely, then just surely, slowly back away and become unavailable. And I think that'll work just fine. It sounds like they're pulling back anyway, but also I don't think you necessarily have to stone cold end the relationships. You can just call them once a year on their birthday. And maybe that's a lovely chat you have with somebody. You don't put a whole lot of emotional stock in them. You don't necessarily need to exit unless you feel like you were really close and now you're not and it hurts. So I guess you have lots of options, but it doesn't sound like they're going to make a big deal about it unless you
Mhm.
do. And it doesn't sound like this person's going to make a big deal out of it. So yeah, it is really sad when this happens, but everybody goes through it.
Yeah. And I think the older you get, the more normal it is. Because there's a lot of people that I just sort of lost touch with them. Nothing even like bad happened or like there wasn't a big falling out. It's just you live in a different city or state and you just don't talk to them as much. You know what? I'm sure if I saw them randomly, it would be fine. We'd catch up. But some friendships are just supposed to last a certain amount of time, and some friendships last a lifetime.
Well, I think that's where this is a little different from just losing touch. Because if
Mm,
you lose
for
touch with
sure.
somebody and then you run into them, it's like, oh my gosh, why haven't we hung out? This is so
Right.
much fun. I'm really happy
True.
to talk to you.
Because that's actually very true. Because like I feel like this person is actively thinking about it. She's like kind of thinking like, wait, why am I friends with these people when they don't really put much value into my life?
You lose touch with somebody, that's not draining. You might think
Mm,
about it and go, oh, I'm so sad. I haven't seen them. But you're not drained by it. You're not broken up by it. This
true.
is sad.
It is that.
But yeah, if the best closure you can get is just in your head, you're not their friend anymore. That works. I think that's the best way to handle it sometimes. You don't need to ruin anybody's day over it.
I think your course of action is something that you want to implement. Just kind of be and talk to them less and less. That's fine. The ball is kind of in their court because if they notice something and they miss you and they want you back in their life, realistically, they would reach out to you and then you might be able to bring up these issues and thoughts. But if you don't want to make an effort or make it a big deal, you shouldn't have to. And if they really want you back, then they'll try to get you back. But if they don't, then maybe you were right.
In the wise words of Christina Aguilera, they say if you love something, let it go. If it comes back to show, that's how you know.
What song is that from? What a Girl Wants. This is excellent advice from Christina Aguilera.
And I don't think that we could end on a better note than that. What the heck did we learn today?
I believe that we learned a lot just about relationships in general. And I think to break that down even further, what do you want in a relationship? Yeah, maybe the dad could talk about to his daughter, hey, maybe you shouldn't go on dates with all these guys, but maybe she likes dating guys if it's just safe fun, you know? And then obviously with the Cosmo article, it's about staying up front what you want. I want more serious relationships or Chalance.
Chalance.
And then that even trickles down to friendships and just how sometimes relationships and friendships are just not always meant to be.
Yeah, it's fine to have friends that you only talk to once a year if you're okay with that. But if that's not what you need, then you need to be honest.
It's good she's being honest.
Mm-hmm. It's the best thing you can do.
I guess that wraps up our episode of Bad Life, Good Advice.
If you want to tell us how old we are, we'd love to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
You can reach us at our Gmail, badlifegoodadvice@gmail.com. And of course, you can reach us on TikTok or Instagram at badlifegoodadvice. You can find us on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We'll have links for. Can I put links to Instagram in our show notes?
I think so.
Okay, Gen Z. I know we tease you, but how do I work the YouTube? I'm just
Eh,
kidding. I was watching YouTube before half of them are born. It's a true story.
we reinvented YouTube.
I remember YouTube before it had ads.
I remember that too.
And until next time, have a good life.
And as always, we are not lawyers or teachers.
You're not paleontologists.
We're not doctors.
You're not hosting a baby shower.
We're not relationship counselors. We're not therapists.
I've never used a dating site.
We're not financial advisors. If you need a professional, please find a professional who is not us. Have a good life.
If you're married, are you going steady?
It's like perpetual study.
Steadiest. I get right. Am I going steady with my husband right now?